I want to talk about this. As a parent, my suggestion to you is this. Do not place your kid or your children above correction. And what I mean by that is that we live in a time now where it's seeming like parents, have these blinders on, right? That their kids, and what you should believe your kids are great. You should believe your kids, speaking to their lives. I made a video about that. But also, it's about having a reality about your kids, okay? We think our kids should have everything just because. And what we built up in this generation, I'm going to blame the parents. I'm going to blame us, is that we built up a generation of entitlement, okay? Kids feel like they should have something just because, right? So if they're playing sports, they should be playing just because they want to play. It doesn't work like that, right? Or they might be saying, okay, well, just because I'm doing this or just because I want this, I should have it. And that's entitlement. And one thing that I teach my kids that I coach or teach the kids that I mentor is that this world isn't going to give you nothing just because you want it. Maybe when you're a kid, people, feel sorry for you or this or that. But as you grow older in life, just because I want a house doesn't mean I'm going to get a house. I got to work for it. Just because I want a car doesn't mean I'm going to get a car. I got to work for it. Just because I want to start a business doesn't mean I'm going to get a business. I have to work for it. So you get what you work for is what you will get. Okay. You have to put in the work to get the results. But we live in a generation now where it's like kids just expect everything, right? And then when they're being criticized in a positive way, when they're being taught and providing direction to kids, they can't take it. They can't take it because their parents have taught them over time, right? Have taught them because they give them so much stuff, feeling so entitled that they place them above correction. So we sit here and talk about teachers, how teachers don't care. But when teachers do care, parents say they care too much. So when a teacher tells a kid, I'm talking about positive, respectful criticism, okay? I'm not talking about cussing out a kid, yelling at a kid. That's a whole different story. But helping a kid, right? When we have a teacher that does that and they tell our child something that they need to fix or do to better their life, a lot of these parents sit there and they cuss out and they disrespect the teacher for telling the child they need to do something, right? I'm the child's mother. I'm the child's father. They ain't got to do nothing. But yet we expect them to teach our kid. When it comes to coaching, I see this firsthand. When it comes to coaching children, right? You want your kids to play and do all these things, but yet when it comes to kids not doing the right thing and they're being taken out the game for that, you sit there and the kid disrespects a coach, you sit there and get mad at the coach, right? If a coach is telling the kid to do something, change this or you need to do this better, provide positive, constructive criticism, parents sit there and get mad at that. And what's happening in life is this. We're teaching our kids to be disrespectful, period, right? Disrespect should not be tolerated. Like I remember when I was growing up with my parents, I don't care if I was in the right. When it comes to a adult or comes to somebody of authority, like if I gave disrespect, I was going to get checked straight up, period. And then I was going to have to apologize. And if I was in the right, my dad would set that person right in a respectful way, or my mom would, but I wasn't allowed to give disrespect. In this time, in this generation, kids give so much disrespect because they're learning disrespect from their parents. They see their parents being disrespectful, so they think it's okay. They see their parents telling off the coach, so they think it's okay. They see their parents telling off the teacher for no reason, really, right? I'm not talking about a disrespectful coach or teacher or somebody disrespecting your child. That's totally different. But somebody trying to help your child and tell your child they're doing something wrong, right? And they come home and tell you that and you have a problem with that. Like what you're doing is setting your child up for failure. Because when the real world hits them, entitlement goes out the window, right? They're not going to get a job just because they want one or just because they don't like their boss. They can't sit there and disrespect their boss because guess what? They're going to get fired. Straight up. So parents out there, I just want to give this message to you guys. Like, understand, like, even in sports, if it's YMCA, that's totally different. But when you get to select things, when I played sports, I had to work for a position. I wasn't just given that position because I thought because I'm on the team, I should have it. No, I had to work for it. And I set the bench a lot because I wasn't producing. I wasn't working, which it made me better. It made me go outside and grind, go outside and work, go outside and better myself. That's what that made me do. So I got to professional level because I understood if I wanted something out of life, I had to put in the work, period. It wasn't going to be handed to me. So parents out there, realize that if your child is not playing like you want them to play or whatever it may be, and I know certain times it's coaches and politics and things like that. But if you know your child doesn't have it right now or is making mistakes, work with your child. Come to practice. Don't just drop your child off and have your coaches and whoever else babysit them. Come there. You know, if you're not putting in the work with your child, like my son is an excellent football player, but in basketball, he struggles a little bit. Right? And I told him, I was like, you can play video games all day. You can do that if you want to. But when you go out and play basketball, guess what? It's going to show that. It's going to reflect that. And so he said, you know what, Dad? I want to go outside and work. So we work every single day and he's progressed. So we put in the work. Because we realize that if he wants to make changes, he has to put in the work to make those changes. But I'm open to that. I'm not a father that's like, oh, my kid should be playing just because he's my kid. Right? Or if a teacher calls me with a concern, you know, and I respect the teacher. I respect that teacher. I'm going to talk to my son and say, why are you acting like that in school? I taught you better than that. I'm not going to go to the teacher and cuss them out just because they put my child in place. Thank you. You could be saving my child's life down the road because you're teaching how to respect authority instead of always giving disrespect and popping off like the mouth because you think everything should go your way. That ain't real life. Everything ain't going to go your way. Everything isn't going to go your way. So parents, step up and stop teaching your child to be entitled. Teach them the real world, real life, what it's going to be. Okay? Because they're going to grow up and they're going to expect things their whole entire life. And they're going to wake up one day and realize the real world is not going to give them things that they want just because they want it. And they ain't going to know how to deal with it. They're not going to know how to deal with it. Okay? And another thing, if your children are disrespecting somebody, disrespecting authority, right? And that authority has been nothing but good to your children. That authority has done nothing wrong. That authority is taking time out their day to coach or to teach or whatever it is they may be doing. They caring about your kid while you at work, while you doing what you're doing. Make sure that your child apologizes or whatever it may be, and make sure you don't disrespect them again. Because that shouldn't be flying. You shouldn't go sit there and disrespect somebody that's caring for your child, that's trying to help your child out, just because they told them something that they didn't want to hear, right? Just because they told them that, just because they didn't give them a certain amount of playing time, just because, you know, the teacher was trying to give them constructive criticism. Like, your child is not perfect. Take the blinders off. And I know we care about our babies so much, but we got to take the blinders off sometimes and understand reality. Understand reality. You know, we think that our kids are everything. We should think that. But it comes a point in time when you got to stop placing your child above correction. You have to. Stop placing them. Nobody's above correction. Okay? If they're doing something wrong, if they're not doing something right, they should be put in their place for it. I remember growing up in my day, I feel like I'm old saying this, but I remember that somebody else would check you. Like, for real. It didn't even have to be your parent. Like, they seen you giving disrespect to somebody, that person would put you in the place. But we can't do these nowadays because if another person tells your child something, oh, Lord, don't be talking to my child like that. Don't be talking to my kid like that. And we're not raising, you know, I said it takes a whole village to raise a child. We're not doing that no more because we're so entitled and we feel like nobody else can tell our children anything or anything like that. So I salute teachers. I salute coaches out there because I know how hard it can be. You know what I'm saying? When you're trying your best to be there for a child or to help a child. And, you know, there's a lot of parents out there that do a great job with that. You know, straight up, that do a great job with that. They say, hey, like, if my child acting up, straighten them out. You know, if they ain't doing the right thing, straighten them out. But I think we've taught that. And these kids, I've seen it. They don't know, especially in sports, they don't know how to handle adversity. They don't know how to handle losing now because everything is given to them. Like, everybody makes a team. Like, when I came up, you had to work to make the team. Just being real with you. You wasn't just given trophies just for participating. Like, I get it. That's nice and everything. But it's teaching them that you're going to be given something just because you're participating in it. That's not real life. So I tell my son, I tell my team all the time, listen, we got to work. right? We came, I'm proud of you, but we got to work. You know, life isn't going to just give you stuff just because you want it. You got to work for it. And so I think we're just teaching a whole generation of entitlement. And I think that's the result that we're seeing, is that these kids don't know how to handle adversity. These kids don't know how to handle challenges. These kids don't know how to handle obstacles. And when things don't go their way, they sit there and they disrespect. And I think that's what we're looking at in these times, because the parents aren't teaching them to be respectful, because the parents are disrespectful in themselves. And you can't tell a child nothing without their parent flipping out. And so we need more parents to step up and realize when you have your child in the hands of somebody who cares about your child, whether that's a teacher, whether that's a coach, whether that's some type of mentor, like, give respect to that person, because that person doesn't have to do what they're doing, right? If you're trusting them with your child when you're not there, trust them to guide your child. And if you don't want them around, if you feel like they're disrespectful, get your child away from them. But don't sit there and applaud your child's disrespect, because you see that all the time now. I see children be more disrespectful than ever, and parents don't check them for giving disrespect. You know, I was scared to be disrespectful, because I knew one thing, like, it wasn't going to be nice when I got home, because my dad wasn't having that. Even if I was in the right, that's his job to handle that. His job to talk to the coach, talk to the teacher. My job was to give respect, period. And so as a parent, stop teaching entitlement. And matter of fact, I'm not telling you how to be parents to your kid. Do what you want to do. But entitlement is going to hurt them in the long run. I promise you that. I see it already. And you know as well as I know that you aren't given anything just because you want it. This world owes you nothing. And the older you get, the more you realize that. Oh, I want a house, so they should give me a house. No, you got to work. I want a job. They should just. I want to be an NFL player. I should just be it. No, I want to be an NBA player. It starts with working for it. And even when you work for it, it's still no guarantee. Believe that. All right, so that was just on my heart to share, man. I know it might not be for everybody, but I know it might be for somebody out there. So the coaches out there, the teachers out there, the people out there, putting their life on the line, but committing their life to helping people, helping kids be better. I salute you, because I know sometimes it can be hard when you're dealing with parents, when you're dealing with, ungrateful people, when you're giving your all to their children, to their kids. And I know sometimes it can be hard to deal with certain kids, because if there's no repercussions for giving disrespect, it's hard for them to respect you. If they ain't gonna get in trouble when they go home, or they ain't gonna be acknowledged, then it's hard for a child to respect you, right? When they know that they're not demanded to give respect to authority, to give respect to a teacher, to give respect to a coach. And I know it's hard too when you try to help and correct, you try to teach, and then you got to worry about their parent coming to disrespect you. And so realize with kids, behaviors are learned. They're learned. And so if they see you being disrespectful and everything else, they're going to learn that. If they see you being kind and generous, they're going to pick up on that. All right, so you set the tone for your child's life, man. And if you want, and stop thinking that your child deserves everything. I know we think our child's the best, kid on the court and on the football field and the track and everything else. I know we think that. We all do. But you got to open your eyes up to reality. All right, open your eyes up to reality and make them work for it, all right? So I appreciate you guys. Just came over here to share that. Let's get it.